Do your sources pass the CRAAP test, Rhetoric and Evaluating Sources? In this tutorial, you will make connections between effective public speaking and effective academic research, specifically the connections between the 3 rhetorical proofs and 5 criteria for evaluating sources in your speech research. Aristotle's Rhetoric identifies 3 technical means of persuasion or effective speaking, also known as forms of rhetorical proof. These proofs are appeals to ethos, logos, and pathos. For the purposes of this tutorial, we will also examine a 4th rhetorical concept, kairos. If you have already studied persuasive speaking, you may be familiar with persuasive appeals. In this tutorial, we'll examine how these appeals relate to research sources. Ethos. In a persuasive speech, speakers establish ethos through credibility and character. Is the speaker well respected? Does the speaker present themselves in a way that earns your respect? A speaker with a positive reputation in their community has situated ethos. During the research process, we look for situated ethos in our sources as well by considering the reputation and credentials of an author or publisher. Speakers also convey invented ethos through their tone in both the context and delivery of their speech. We find invented ethos in information sources when we identify citations, links, and attribution phrases. The source also uses language appropriate to the topic and doesn't oversimplify or misrepresent its trustworthiness. Logos refers to a listener's ability to reason when presented a logical argument. Effective speakers, as well as effective information sources, will provide evidence, data, and examples that appear sound, appeals to reasoning and logic that are shared by the audience, and cultural logics such as common sense. Pathos refers to the emotional connection that a speaker makes with their audience. While pathos is not out of place in information sources, we should always examine the intention of the information and the context of the emotional appeal. Just as a speaker may attempt to manipulate an audience's feelings through an excess of pathos, an information source may also unfairly play on emotions in an attempt to persuade. Kairos, another rhetorical term, refers to the context or timeliness of a speech, saying the right thing at the right moment. The timeliness of an information source is another important factor to consider. From ancient Greek to CRAAP, we now turn our attention to 5 evaluative criteria for selecting effective sources. Currency, or the timeliness of the information. Questions to consider include, when was the information published or last updated? Have newer articles been published on the topic? And is the topic in an area that changes rapidly, like technology, health, science, or popular culture? Relevance, or the importance of the information for your needs. Does the information help answer your research question? Does the information meet the requirements of your assignment? Is the information too technical or too simplified? And does the source add something new to your knowledge of the topic? Accuracy is the reliability and correctness of the information. Are there statements that you know to be false? Was the information reviewed by editors or subject experts before it was published? What citations or references support the author's claims? And what do other people say about the topic? Authority, the source of the information. Who is the author, publisher, sponsor of the source? What are the author's credentials or organizational affiliations? Is the author qualified to write on the topic? The purpose looks at the reason the information exists in the first place. Is the purpose of the source to sell, persuade, entertain, or inform? Are there political, ideological, cultural, religious, institutional, or personal biases? Are alternative points of view presented? Does the author use strong or emotional language? In reviewing the CRAAP test, you may have already made connections between the evaluative criteria for information sources and the 3 forms of rhetorical proofs plus kairos. Let's review those connections. A speaker appeals to ethos through knowledge, experience, and wisdom. She may also appear trustworthy and honest. She can build ethos by using sources that are reliable and come from authors or publishers with authority. A speaker appeals to logos by providing evidence to support her statements. Evidence cited from reliable and accurate sources strengthens the speaker's appeal to her audience's reason. An effective speaker may also balance her evidence with emotional appeals that allow her audience to connect to the content. By examining the purpose of information sources, the speaker can avoid manipulating listeners. Finally, a speaker employs kairos by examining how place, time, culture, and audience might impact the choices she makes in her speech. Similarly, the sources she selects will be more impactful if they are timely or have a relevance that makes them valuable. Effective speakers use effective sources. To learn more about selecting sources for your speech presentation, visit the library's Evaluating Sources Guide at codlrc.org/evaluating/sources. Do you have questions about your research project? Don't struggle, ask a librarian. Visit codlrc.org/ask for all the ways you can get in touch with a librarian, including reference appointments, chat, and even texting.